Alright guys, welcome back to another list for you today. Today we're going to be talking about a very weird concept that we kind of think tanked for a while, and then we realized how not great of a deck it is, and probably needs a lot of perfecting, or we're just looking at it completely wrong. But regardless, this is our attempt at some sort of weird lock deck. When we saw this Raichu, is where we came up with the idea for it. Go ahead and read it for you. When you play this Pokemon, to evolve one of your Pokemon, you can paralyze your opponent's active Pokemon, right? And so that, paired with Disconnect, your opponent can't play any items during their turn, is basically the old strategy that Excelgor Dusknoir used, or rather Excelgor Wobbuffet, Excelgor Trevenant, Excelgor Gothitelle even, when that was really, really big. It was that same sort of effect where you paralyze them, item lock them, and they're basically just stuck in the active. And then you use Dusknoir to put something bad in the active, or you Lysander something up, put that bad thing in the active, and just move all the damage on it off of the fatty that you leave, knock out all their Pokemon on their bench while you're just sticking this horrible thing in the active. That's kind of the idea of the deck. It's a lot of moving pieces, and you need a lot. Basically, you don't need the Excelgor at all times. That's kind of just like a in case of emergency sort of paralyzation. But between these three right here, and then let's imagine your two bench sitters, you not only have one more free spot for a second Raichu, so you can de-evolve and evolve a different one, or what have you. So, or even the Excelgor. So the real problem with this deck is that it's so many moving pieces and so hard to get your perfect setup. And the lock doesn't even last that long because you can get Lysander stalled, you can get AZ'd out of it, that sort of thing. It's not a perfect lock. When you get it, oh god, you're going to win the game. Like, you're going to win the game 100%. There's no way that they can get out of it. It's just really hard to get it set up where your opponent doesn't have a response, like either every time or every other time. It loses to fighting decks. It loses to random clay dolls that have double rainbows and a muscle band on it or something. I don't know. There's random things that it loses to, and there's random things that, this poops on some things, but, that sort of thing. Yeah, like I said, you're going to evolve, disconnect, move all the energies off of whatever you need to. You're going to be, or move all the damage, rather. You're going to be taking knockouts on what you want because it is a Dusknoir deck. If you are going to let them play items, you can deck and cover into something, or you can even deck and cover into Spiritomb. That's a different way to item lock them. But outside of that, too many moving pieces. We might go a route where we build this deck without these two and just play deck and cover into Spiritomb over and over again. That doesn't sound like a bad idea at all. You'd play like Spiritomb, Zoroark, Excelgor, Mew-EX, that sort of thing, and just kind of keep doing that over and over again. That's another thing that we haven't really tested yet, but it is something to think for the future, and if this deck gives you the inspiration to do just that, then go for it. Other counts of the cards here, we're going at 2-2, a 2-1, a 2-1, a 1-1, and then a 1-1-1 line here. The reason that you want to play a 2, this is the really important one that you want a 2-1, so that if you don't have broken time space in play, you can de-evolve one Raichu and evolve another one, another Pikachu. You can switch between the two, so you're guaranteed paralyzation. That's if you don't have the broken time space, because if you do, you can just de-evolve, re-evolve. Zubstrike is a very, very important card to keep having out, so we play, I do believe we play an experience share for that exact reason. Just going to look ahead here. This is awkward. Yep, we do play an experience share right there. We play an experience share for that exact reason, so you can throw an experience share on one of your Blitzels, so that if you have two lightning energies on disconnect, you can keep disconnecting over and over. And then we do play the one Mew to copy deck and cover, or disconnect, kind of whatever you need to copy. You have options for. This card was played in the Excelgor deck, so it makes sense to do that. And if you have a D-Valley in play, or your opponent has a D-Valley in play, you can copy disconnect for 1 energy, or even deck and cover for 1 energy. So those are all the non-support Pokemon. For support Pokemon, you're going to be looking at your standard 10. You're going to be looking at the 1-1 there. You're going to be looking at the 2-2 there. Very, very good cards. You're going to look at Spiritomb, Lapras, Uxie, and Dunsparce, the starters. And since you are playing a lot of Devolution Spray, Scoop Up effects, and you're playing Dusknoir, it makes sense to play the Porygon Z with it, so that you don't need as much damage on their field to take knockouts on their softer stuff. De-evolving Porygons put them down to 50 or even 40 HP. De-evolving Baltoy generally sends them down to 50 if they're playing the one from Sandstorm. Gets it down to 40 less damage that you're going to need just by playing Porygon. Also, if you have Broken Time Space in play lets you reuse download by downloading, de-evolving, or sorry, downloading, evolving, and then playing a devolution spray. Now you can download again. So that gives you all of your Pokemon. Moving on to your supporters. Pretty standard looking stuff. There actually isn't a lot of weird stuff in here. You're gonna play AZ, and you're also gonna play Brimey's coming up here. That's so you can reuse your you reuse your Raichu over and over again. You're also going to play an Iris in this deck. It does feel like an Iris-based deck. I've said this many times about Iris. I want to put it in more and more decks. It is starting to grow on me as a card, but this deck especially needs it. Karina, Lysander, trump card. Marlies, there's that Brimey's Compassion I was talking about, Brimey's and AZ. Usually you only see one or the other, but this deck you're going to see both because you want to reuse that Raichu as many times as possible. N, Oracle or Mallow, Collector, Juniper, Oaks, Sycamore, Admin, you're going to see these in everything. Roseanne's Research for some extra consistency. Skyla, you're going to play Teammates because you're going to die a whole lot in the early stage of the game. And you're going to play Twins. Any Dusknoir deck really benefits from Twins because your late game is better than your early game. Wally, and then we needed one more draw supporter, so is it going to be Sages or is it going to be Lookers? This time it'll be Lookers because there's a lot of stuff that you don't want to discard. If there's a deck that can afford to discard stuff, then you play Sages, but in this scenario we are going to play Lookers as that one extra supporter. You'll notice in a lot of these decks that are extra supporter, I think I've talked about it before, if we are like, we need one more draw supporter, what do we put in? And we've already put in all the good ones, we either lean towards Sages or Lookers, and it depends on if the deck can afford to discard stuff or not. Moving on to item cards. Pretty normal stuff. I don't think there's too many wacky stuff in here. Too many wacky stuff? That's the way to say it. Bill, Computer Search. You are going to play that Devolution Spray, like I said, to reuse the Raichu. Escape Rope, Evo Soda, Hyper Devolution Spray to reuse the Raichu. Escape Rope is one card that you actually consider cutting because of if you already paralyzed them but you need to switch out. Escape Rope might not be as good. Obviously, you're gonna play smart and you're not gonna evolve and then be like, oh crap, I need to get out of the active now. Oh no, I need to play this Escape Rope. Like, you're gonna play well. So Escape Rope's just a good card for making plays. But if you're not confident in your playing ability, you can take out Escape Rope for like a switch or something. Invention, Item Finder, Junk Arm, Level Ball, Luxury Ball, Misty's Wrath, very standard stuff. Palpad, Pcom, Retriever. Now Retriever in this deck is actually a little bit more useful because of some reasons I'm going to show you coming up here, but Retriever actually gets a little bit of a buff in this deck, just in case your Raichu finds itself in the discard pile. Professor Oak. Run one rare candy and not a breeder because Dusknoirs are you only have one stage 1, or stage 2 rather. This is just a quick way to get into it. Stretcher, you'll notice we play both Stretcher and Retriever. I'll talk about that in a minute. Scoop Up, Swoop Teleporter, Ultra Ball versus Seeker, Field Blower. Some other stuff in the deck here. You also have a Super Rod, some extra shuffle draw there. And then these cards are all a little bit less. You're gonna play a Pokemon Trader and a Pokemon Communication. Reason being is because there's a whole bunch of Pokemon on the deck, and some of them you might not need at one point, so you can just trade it away. Laser for the little bit of extra damage and that chance to put them asleep. Timer Ball because you do play all of your stuff is like stage 1, stage 2s. Fuji to get rid of bench room because you're gonna need the bench room. Super Scoop Up not only to do bench room if you need it, but as a way to reuse Raichu. And then Time Space Distortion, extra recovery from your discard pile. So, mostly standard stuff with a few extra stuff right here that kind of just makes sense with the deck. Not a whole lot there. Kind of item heavy, but hey, what deck isn't? You notice for as much Pokemon as I say there actually is less Pokemon in this deck than the rest of them. Moving on to Stadiums, we're going to be looking at Skyfield. Bench issues galore with this deck, so Skyfield helps. Broken Time Space, you play a lot of evolutions. And this last one you may not see in a lot of decks, but it's going to be Undersea Ruins. And this is the card one of the cards I was talking about earlier. Once during your turn, you can flip a coin. If heads, you can de-evolve one of your Pokemon and put it in the discard pile. So this is kind of a supporter way to de-evolve your Raichu, and then you use Retriever and stuff to get it back and re-evolve it. So Undersea Ruins, pretty cool card. Found that dig in. This is definitely a proxy because nobody owns cards from Aquapolis. tool, see, that's what these are called. Experience share, like I said, you can attach it to one of your benched blitzels to kind of keep your Zipstrika flowing. Muscle Band Floatstone in every single deck. And then Choice Band works really well with Dusknoir based decks to manipulate the damage as much as you want. Playing both of these, you have an odd number and even number damage modifier. Really good and that sort of thing. Also, very good with Excelgor in the early game to ensure that if you don't have Dusknoir online, they can die coming back into your turn from poison. You can choose in which. Another great reason for Laser too in this deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The same 5 you'll see in almost every single deck. No reason to play anything other than Dowsing. This is probably one of the few that you could say Computer Search is better because your double colorless energy and your double rainbow energy are way important in this deck. That's the only reason that I would ever consider Computer Search over Dowsing, but you already have a Computer Search, so no reason to play 2 of them unless you're really worried about hitting those cards. Like I said, double rainbow and double colorless super important. Double rainbow so that you can charge up your Zipstrika right away. DCE so you can charge up your Excelgor right away. You're also going to play upper energy for the same reason as double colorless. So you can attach them to Mew, you can attach them to Excelgor, keep using those attack. And then retro energy is another de-evolve thing. When you attach it, you heal, what is it, 20 or 30? You heal 20 damage from it, and then you discard the evolution. So you'd attach it to Raichu, for instance, and then discard that Raichu. And then retrieve it back. Basic energies, we're going to be looking at 7 lightning energies. That's more than enough, I think, especially since your energies are really only going to go on Zipstrika, and you're going to try to use them with experience share. But, you know, this is your real key energy, obviously, for Zipstrika, so you can get it using earlier. But, you know, you need some basics at least. You could also consider playing Raichu XY, or any other Raichu for that matter. So if you're considering playing more Raichu and making it a little bit more Raichu focused, you can put more basic energies. But, yep, that does it for this weird sort of lock deck. It is kind of rough around the edges, but hey, it's a lot of fun. I would give it a try. If anything, it's fun. It's not, you know, it's bad, but it's fun. It's one of those decks. So, hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next time.